city, a little town where I'm from, where everybody's southern raised, just as good as they come. Backwoods and Macioke and mud holes. And back then we only ate what the farm grow. Man, I miss some days how we played on them dirt roads. And out of towners came with respect, cause they know we all close. Yeah, southern pride, toting gun folks. Welcome to my city, I-75 South, just north of Lava.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, backwoods, running around this small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city, town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We get it up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey.
It's nothing like our dirt roads, you can bet that, son. I'm from a city, by any means, we gon' protect our guns. I hang with the rednecks and geekies. We get up in big trucks in the backwoods like Indians and teepees. This the home of the mighty, mighty Vikings. Wildcats, blazing, Titletown license winners. Pretty girls with country grammar. When I say about Austin, Georgia, I ain't talking about Atlanta. This a different type of city, where the woods are pretty, but get gritty. You hear me? What you know about that 229? You can find us on the Florida, Georgia line, where I reside.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, backwoods, running around this small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city, town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We get it up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey. Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, backwoods, running around this small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city, downtown, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We get it up with big trucks and heavy G's, pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey.
Hey everybody, what's up, Lowndes County, and welcome to the Viking Nation Live. This is our weekly celebration and discussion of all Lowndes things athletics. Did I just say Lowndes things athletics? That made absolutely no sense, but you guys have come to expect that from me by now, because when I open my mouth, there's no telling what's coming out. Sometimes people like that, sometimes they don't. That's okay, because we're all human, right? But anyway, it's Thursday night. You guys know what that is. Welcome to the 229. Welcome to the Viking Nation Live. I'm your host, Larry Godwin. You can call me LG. I've got another super fan that's going to be joining me here in a couple of minutes. His name is Chase Garnto. Listen, there is a little rumor that long missing super fan, some of our super fans have come and gone on the show, and some of them, for various reasons, all legit reasons, they're not banning the show or anything like that. But some of them, I swear, have gone into witness protection program or something like that. Like Billy Pearson. Where the heck is Billy? I think Billy Pearson is in the witness protection relocation program. I'm just kidding, Billy. I still love you, brother. So hopefully one of these days, some of these guys, our regulars in the past, like Chris Bisher, Billy Pearson, others, and we may invite others to join us as a regular super fans on the show. And I'm appreciative of Chase Garnto for being on the show as well. Listen, this is the show where we get together once a week to let down our hair. Now, if you get middle-aged, I guess, is 52 middle-aged? I don't even know anymore. Let's just say that it is. When you get middle-aged like me and your hair starts to thin out, you can't let your hair down as much as you used to. Chase Garnto is laughing at me in the virtual backstage because he's still in his 20s, early 30s, something like that. He's still a young man. He's got the long flowing hair, that kind of stuff. Oh, he's saying he's 40 years old. Oh my gosh. Billy says Billy's checking in with her. So anyway, when you get to middle age like I am, and like many of you are, we just can't let our hair down as much anymore. But we'll virtually let it down. Once a week, we get together on the Viking Nation Live, and we just let our hair down and have a good time talking about Lowndes athletics, Lowndes football, and other sports events going on around the region. So that's what we like to do. So listen, I don't know about you, but I have been dodging raindrops, lightning bolts, wind gusts, funnel clouds, tornado all week long. So hopefully all of you have remained safe during the last few days. I think we've got a few more days of this crazy weather ahead of. So if we just happen to have some lightning storms or whatever tonight, we get knocked off there, then so be it. Until then, we're going to have a good time with a few of my rowdy friends here in Lowndes County. How about that? Okay. So welcome aboard, everybody. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Viking Nation Live. I'm your host, Larry Godwin. Let me go ahead and thank our sponsors. You guys know them by now. Pepsi of Valdosta. Thank you so much to Doyer Deloach and the guys out there for producing products like Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Rockstar, Mountain Dew Energy. You know what? One of the favorite things that I like to do, how I start my day in the morning, I'll go into the Circle K here locally, and I signed up for their Sip and Save or whatever program they have. So I pay this one flat fee once a month, and I get a free drink every day. So I go in there and I take advantage of that. So I get one of these big gulps that they have at the Sip and Save, and I fill it up with Mountain Dew Zero or Diet Mountain Dew or Pepsi Zero, whatever they have. And man, I absolutely love it. And no, Circle K is not a sponsor of on. Maybe I should hit them up. What do you think, Chase? I should hit them up, right? But whether you go to the Circle K or Winn-Dixie or Food Lion or wherever you shop, be sure to pick up Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Rockstar, Mountain Dew Energy, Mountain Dew Spark, and the newest lemon and lime flavored drink, Starry. Thank you so much to Kyle Conger at White Oak Investment. Guys, if you need someone to help you with your finances, well, I shouldn't say finances. I should say financial advice, as in the stock market, planning for retirement, that kind of stuff. Kyle Conger is one of the best out there. You can reach him at 229-850-8848. Thank you so much to Stickman Tim Neesmith. He owns a company called A Shade of Perfection, where he produces custom shades and blinds. He can help your house look beautiful. You know, it doesn't have to be a house. If you want to have your mobile home look beautiful, give Tim a call. Whatever the case may be, if you want the best window treatments possible, Tim Neesmith is your guy at 229-251-3479. And thank you to these guys, the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta. That's Josh Batson and Justin Haskin. They offer a variety of migraine and back pain treatments. They are my favorite Gator fans out there, if there is a such thing as favorite Gator fans, because in this household, we are like a Bulldog Nation. Chase, I know that kind of hurts your heart when I say stuff like that, because he's a Spearham kind of guy down there at Florida State. But Josh and Justin run a great company called the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta. They are your certified headache medicine specialists. Give them a call if you have the need for their services. Thank you so much to AquaWorks Pool Company, and that is headed by Chandler Kudik at 229-415-0752. Listen, Chandler, once these storms get out of the way, man, you guys are working to get this pool cleaned up, because, man, there's debris everywhere. But that's okay, because when things are normal, Chandler has my pool sparkling. Oh my gosh, it looks great. So had a pool party over the weekend, and everybody was just raving about how great the pool looked. Had the mood light going in the when the sun went down and it got dark, turned the mood light on, and sometimes it was red, sometimes it was green. But during the daytime, it is beautiful. And that's thanks to Chandler Kudik at AquaWorks Pool Company. Our newest sponsor are these guys, Imperial Auto Sales. That's Tony Green and Trey Hatcher. They got two locations to help you with your automotive needs. One on Ashley Street, one on Bay Tree Road. Wherever location you go to, they have A1 customer service. That's what they're known for. And they can help you out with your automotive needs at Imperial Auto Sales. You can catch them on their website as well, imperialautosales.com. So thank you so much to all of our sponsors. So let's go ahead and get into some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. At about 7:30, we're going to have defensive coordinator Ashley Anders. That's the Lowndes Defensive Coordinator. He's going to be calling in tonight to talk about the upcoming season, what his expectations are for the Lowndes defense this year, how they prepare in the offseason. We're going to just get to know Ashley a little bit better because, this is his second year, I believe, as the DC for Lowndes. And last year was a weird season. Everybody recognizes that. And we really didn't get to know him very well. So we've known about him. So I asked Coach Anders to call in tonight just so the Viking Nation can get to know him a little bit more, what his defense's philosophy is. And so, just give him a formal welcome to Lowndes community and the Viking Nation. So, Chase, let's go ahead and bring you onto the screen. How you doing, my man?
I'm good, LG. What's up, Viking Nation?
Listen, man, I'm glad to have you back on the show, dude. You've had a busy summer so far.
And it ain't over.
Well, you got football practice and coaching AAU basketball. You're traveling all over the Southeast. You've had a busy summer.
Yeah, man. But LG, just trying to help these kids out, man.
Yeah.
Some of them just graduated and just trying to get them seen and get them in front of some JUCO and some lower college coaches. Maybe get them a scholarship. At least get them seen, get some interest in them, man. That's the main goal of this whole thing.
Absolutely. Chase, we got some guys that are checking in on the White Oak Investment comment line tonight. Thank you so much, Claudia, mine, for checking in. Brian Spray, hey, how you doing? Greg Maddox, my favorite Lowndes / Cook Hornet Viking, whatever you are, Greg. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Viking Nation tonight. Georgia Coach Trainer. He says it's South Georgia, LG. We understand. Absolutely. I think you're talking about the weather, man. Tierra Battle says that she's dying laughing. Coach Trainer, why you want to get me stirred up? Chase, check out this comment. It says, bring JKH back. Oh. We'll just skip that one and go on to the next comment.
You know what, LG? We can bring JKH back, but I think we'd have to charge premium subscription prices to see me and JKH go back and forth.
Absolutely. It was some pretty. I guess it was pretty good conversation when we had the entire gang back there. Yeah. But I think that's in the past, and we are going full speed ahead. Not to say anything bad about those guys; they did a great job when they were on the show. Listen, Travis R. She says Chase's hair might be thinning, but it's definitely getting some grays.
Look, I got a little redheaded little girl that sits over here next to me that is the reason for every bit of this gray.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Trainer says Larry has left us out. I think he's talking about the pool party that I had over the weekend.
I didn't. Hey, Viking Nation, I didn't even get an invite. So
listen. Just so you guys don't think I'm a snob or anything like that, right? It was a graduation party for my daughter and my nephew. My daughter graduated from Georgia Military College, and my nephew graduated from Berrien High. So we combined those two and had a family graduation celebration. So that's why I know I count you guys as my Lowndes extended family. But this was our immediate family. And we, just given that, Chase, we had like almost 30 people here. We were at capacity, man. They're just at capacity. There's no way we could have had it. So maybe we can, I'm not promising anything, Trainer, but maybe we'll do something for the Viking Nation someday soon. We'll see. So anyway, speaking of family, Chase, if you'll indulge me a little bit, for a couple of minutes, I got to say this. I want to say happy birthday to my main dude, Matthew Godwin. This is my boy, Matthew Godwin. He turns 25 today. Chase. And man, we can't be any prouder than we are. His mom and me are so proud of this kid right here. He's not a kid anymore. He's a young man. He's moved out. He's on his own. His mom and I took him to lunch today, celebrate his birthday. We'll have him over again this weekend. So anyway, Matthew Godwin, you're doing a great job. You're making your parents proud. You're making your community proud. He is also a former Georgia Bridgman. Spent 4 years at Lowndes, Bridgman every single year, section leader, played the baritone. And so anyway, he bleeds crimson and white as well. So I wanted to make sure I say happy birthday to my dude, Matthew Godwin. So we love you, buddy. Chase, a couple more of announcements. Girls flag football, man, is really, really starting to heat up around the state. So this coming weekend on the 17th, the Titletown Throwdown is going to be hosted at Lowndes High School. If you've got a girls flag football team that you would like to enter this on the campus of Lowndes High, make sure you contact Don Faircloth. You see his email address there on the screen. So this is South Georgia, and we love football. And that, football is not exclusive to guys.
No.
Right? So there's a lot of ladies that love football, and I'm glad to see schools across the state launch these types of programs for young ladies. As a father of a daughter, I love to see expanded opportunities for everyone, especially young girls. And what better way to do that than to celebrate it with football? More football is always a good thing. So girls flag football, Titletown Throwdown is being hosted this weekend, Saturday, June 17th on the campus of Lowndes High School. Let's talk about the season package, the season ticket information that just went out, Chase. First of all, I get asked this every single year, and I kind of chuckle when I do. It's like, Chase, why in the world would anybody want to buy season tickets? Because they can always get a ticket when they walk up to the booth, right? So if someone asked you that, what would you say to people?
It's a heck of a deal. You get a better deal doing it that way. In fact, I think you wind up getting one home game free. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it is a better deal when you buy a package deal like that. Plus, two, you do support the program a lot. With these, not just football, but these ticket sales help the entire athletic program, right? And also, guys, if you want, this is one of the best kept secrets in all of the Lowndes community. Everybody wants a ticket to the Wintersville Classic every single year, right? When the game is hosted at Lowndes, you've automatically got a ticket when you buy a season ticket package. So you don't have to worry about lines or anything like that. And in the years that the game is hosted in the Valdosta Stadium by Bazemore Hyder, you don't necessarily get a ticket for that, but you get priority, right? So before the tickets go on sale to the general public, they go on sale to season ticket holders first. So you get priority. You go up there to the ticket office a day early before the rest of the crowd. Yeah, there's usually a line, but for season ticket holders, that line goes very, very quickly. So, guys, that is the best kept secret. Go ahead and buy your season tickets. Now, here's how it's going to work. $65 per ticket in the package this year. For the first priority are the season ticket holders from last year. So renewals only until July 21st. And this year, they're not going to do any renewals by mail. So there's no sending in money and having them mail your tickets to your house, because there were so many ticket packages getting lost in the mail. And so they decided to go ahead and do away with that. So to renew your tickets, you will need to go up there to the county office, to the ticket office. Upgrades will happen on July 24th. So if you are new to the season ticket scene, what are upgrades? Basically what it is if you're a last year's season ticket holder and you go ahead and renew your ticket before July 21st, and let's say you want to change seats or you want to see if there's better seats, whatever, on July 24th, you can go up there with your renewed seats that you already have and say, Owen or whoever's working the ticket office, can I get better seats? And if they're available, then yeah, you get first priority. You can go ahead and upgrade your seats at no extra charge. Okay. So then on July 25th,
these are the new sales for the folks that haven't gotten season tickets and want to get in on the game. Then they can go ahead and start buying on July 25th. That's when they go on sale to the general public. Now, there are a lot of different ticket hours, ticket office hours that are posted on our Facebook page of the Viking Nation. And, it's the summertime. So they have various hours, Monday through Wednesday, some weeks, Monday through Thursdays, other weeks, varying times. So make sure you go on to our Facebook page of the Viking Nation, and we have all the ticket office hours posted there.
Hey, LG, you might want to give the Viking Nation a little bitty perk that they get free of charge with that ticket price, with that season ticket package.
Yeah.
Y'all get to wave at me and LG all year long.
Absolutely. Hey, we are a close-knit
ticket package.
We are a close-knit bunch, man. We love to hang out with the fans because we're fans ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, let me do a quick plug for joining the Touchdown Club. Okay. So I mentioned one of the perks a while ago, season tickets, is to get in on the, action when it comes to getting Wintersville tickets, because you already have them, or you can get priority. Now, to upgrade your priority preference for, playoff games or Wintersville tickets, that kind of stuff, joining the Touchdown Club is one of the best ways you can do that. You support the football program directly with much needed funds. And listen, there are we're still in the off season, but there is no such thing as the off season when it comes to expenses that power the football program, right? So we feed our kids year round. We buy equipment. We buy apparel for them to go off to compete in these 7-on-7 tournaments, padded camps, that kind of stuff. Guys, all that stuff is incredibly expensive.
It is.
So you can directly support the football program by joining the Viking Touchdown Club. And by the way, they have a fantastic Facebook page as well, Viking Touchdown Club. So anyway, one of the perks that you get, other than directly supporting the program, is you get preferential treatment when it comes time to getting Wintersville tickets, whether it's at home or away, because that Monday night during the week of the game at the Touchdown Club meeting is usually where it happens, right? That's when Touchdown Club members usually get their first preferential treatment. So you get first dibs at the tickets. That's basically it is, right? Jody Hewitt. Jody, thank you so much for posting this. Jody is involved with the Touchdown Club. He says, LG, it's $400 per player for Feed the Vikings. That you want a big player? You want an athletic player? You want to feed these players? This is as real as it gets. $400 per player to feed these cats. I shouldn't say cats, to feed these Vikings.
Yeah,
right? I caught myself there.
Don't do that. LG will have the entire Viking Nation calling for our heads.
That's exactly right. So Jody, thank you so much for posting that information. Man, dadgummit. Jody, I keep forgetting to call you, man. I was supposed to call you like 2 months ago. And man, my apologies. I just keep forgetting to do that. Tiara says, what was that? Tiara, I talk so much. So if I said something like 30 seconds ago, I'm already on to the next time. So I can't, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? What was that? So I was talking about $400 per player for Feed the Vikings. So anyway, let's talk about the upcoming season real quick. You see the schedule that's posted on the screen too, Chase. You notice that first one at the very top, August 11th, 7 p.m. preseason scrimmage versus Tift. And I'm hearing, oh, Tiara's getting on to me. She said, you said feed the cats. Tiara, my apologies. I'm humbling myself before you, begging for forgiveness. I did catch myself, but it was a little too late.
He really did.
Yep. Candace said, yeah, he tripping. Listen, it's the caffeine. I'm telling you guys. So I was feeling a little tired today. It's dodging raindrops, trying to rush back from. Y'all forgive me for this as well. Had some business to do in Moultrie today, Chase. So I'm running as fast as I can back from Moultrie. doing some business over there. Listen, there's a lot of good business over in Moultrie. So as far as business wise, I love Moultrie. Now, as far as football, can't stand them.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is, right?
Yeah. That's that other school over there.
That's exactly right. So listen, just between us, y'all don't tell those guys that I get a lot of business out of Moultrie. I don't want anybody shutting my supply side down. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so I'm rushing back and I'm feeling a little pooped. And so I know I got to prepare for the show. And so I get in here to my studio and start typing away, preparing slides and videos and that kind of stuff. And man, about 5:30, when 5:30 hits, Chase, that's when my energy is sapped just like that.
Oh yeah. I agree with that.
And so listen, this is what I'm doing tonight. Diet Mountain Dew in here, and I'm chasing it with a cup of coffee. That's how much caffeine I need to run the show. So that's why when it's showtime and I'm talking 90-0, and the words are fumbling and tripping coming out of my mouth, that's usually because I'm hyped up on caffeine. That's all that is. That's all that is. Greg Maddox says, at least he didn't say Rebels. Go Rebels. How about that, Greg Maddox?
Oh, Lord.
Jody Hewitt says that the Plowboy Open Golf Tournament is coming up. That's another major fundraiser for the football program. That's coming up on July 21st and 22nd. Listen, but I got to warn you guys. If you are a casual golfer, the Viking golf tournament for you is in March. If you are a serious golfer, this is the one for you. This is a 2-man team format, and it's 2 days, July 21st and 22nd. And the reason it's serious, Chase, is because they have some mega prizes on the line, right? So anyway, fantastic golf tournament, Plowboy Open, July 21st through 22nd. And so, guys, if you are a serious golfer, that is the tournament for you. Now, speaking of serious golfers and serious fishermen, Chase, let's welcome our guest that's calling in to the White Oak Investment comment line tonight. And that is Lowndes Defensive Coordinator, Coach Ashley Anders. Coach, how are you?
Hey, good, Larry. Thanks for having me, man.
No problem, man. Thanks for calling in. I hope everybody in your household is safe, dodging all these raindrops and possible tornadoes and things like that.
Oh, yeah. And, man, I know, man, we have talked several times, and man, I've tried to get on here several times and just hadn't been able to because of other things going on, softball and football and all that kind of stuff. But, man, I'm finally glad I was able to get on, man.
Well, Coach, it's not like you've got anything in your life that keeps you very busy nowadays, right? You know, coaching a football program, one of the top programs in the nation. You got your daughter, one of the top softball players in the state of Georgia. You're trying to be a dad at the same time. So you don't have very much going on.
Oh, well, hey, look here. I'm always excited to talk about football. I can assure you that.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So listen, man, I appreciate you calling in tonight. Let's go ahead and get into some of the questions. You know, your name is not a stranger to football in South Georgia, because before you started out really at the high school level, I mean, your name was really synonymous with college football defenses. Because how many years were you the defense coordinator at Valdosta State?
5.
5 years. And you got a couple of national championships under your belt, don't you?
Well, I've got one.
Okay.
Yep. We played for the national championship in 2002 and came up short. But then we turned around and won the national championship in 2004.
Gotcha. Okay. Coach, you know, you spent a number of years at the college ranks, then you transitioned over to high school football, primarily focused on the defense, and you've had an outstanding career at that. I don't know if I've ever asked a defensive football coach that's had experience in both worlds here. What are the differences that you see the college game versus the high school game, or is there any difference?
Yeah, there are differences, and I'll be honest with you, I get asked that question a lot.
Okay.
And I'll tell you this, there are great things about both. When you're at the college level, obviously, you're coaching an older, more experienced, athlete, football player. So you can kind of get on a little bit higher, level as far as as scheming goes. High school, the good thing about high school is a lot of times, man, you get a raw athlete and you get to watch him develop into one of those guys that goes on to be one of those, players at the college level. So
Gotcha.
I tell you what, I have thoroughly enjoyed, my career as far as a high school coach and a college coach. Right now, I tell you what, I am right where I want to be. Because I tell you what, it is, this is a tremendous program. And this, as far as a high school, on the high school level, man, this, Lowndes is about as close to the college level as you can get. And so I'm kind of experiencing the best of both worlds being here at Lowndes.
I got you. Well, Coach, you're talking primarily to Lowndes fans for the first probably 30 minutes of the show or so. So you're going to give us the big head saying stuff like that. We love to hear it. That's for sure. So
well, it is. This is a top notch program, and like I said, this is. Of course, I've known about Lowndes football for a long time.
Sure.
And I've been close to the program, and I've been on the other side of the program.
That's right.
But this is a place that, I've always said, my wife and I, we talk a lot about football, and, she's been in the Lowndes County, system as a teacher, for several years.
Yeah.
And, this is a great place. Valdosta is a great place to raise a family. Being here, at Valdosta State for all those years and then moving off, for, many, many years, Valdosta was always a place that my wife and I wanted to come back to. And, I'm very fortunate to be able to be back here right now. And like I said, Lowndes is it's the place I want to be.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, when you were at the college level, I mean, you had a lot of success there, but then you transitioned into high school football. There were some differences. So at the college level, you basically go out and get, it's very competitive, but you went out and got the players that you wanted. So what made you want to go into the high school ranks?
Well, I tell you what, when I graduated college, long time ago,
Yeah.
I actually coached. I went straight out of college into high school. I did my student teaching in the fall, and so I was coached high school football. Well, but I was very fortunate. I was in Arkansas, and the head coach about halfway through the season, he told me, he said, look, he said, would you be interested in working here full time? And I was like, yes, sir, absolutely. I was just looking for a job. And he said, all right, well, he said, I want you to coach. And so I got through with my student teaching at Christmas, at Christmas break. And so I just started the second semester in January doing the same thing I was doing, but I got paid. So
Okay.
that was big, but I was there 3 years and man, I loved it, and I wanted to experience, the college level if I ever got the opportunity. And I was very fortunate to get a graduate assistant's job at Auburn. And so that's what kind of got me into the college level.
Gotcha. Okay.
And, so, I did that, kind of GA'd for 2 years and took a defensive coordinator job at a junior college in Mississippi for a couple of years. And that's, after that, that's how I got to Valdosta State. And so I was in college for 14 years. And I really believe that, being in the college, being in college for so long, I was able to, when I decided to get out of college, I was able to get at this level, at the 7A level, because of the experience that I had in college. And I guess, to make a long story short, the college, man, at the time, man, I had 3 kids. I have 3 kids, and I wasn't kind of getting to do the experience with them, as far as, watching them play. And, because, college is, boy, it takes up a lot of your time. And, I decided that, hey, I wanted to go back to high school, and wanted to coach my son, and I was able to do that, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. And so, hey, with that being said, now I've been in college. This will be, or I'm back in high school, 11 years now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Coach, there's a lot to be said for having a family life, that kind of stuff. I was talking to, I was interviewing Brian Appling earlier this week. He's the head coach of Buford football up there in Atlanta. And I asked him something similar because, he's had some opportunities to go off to the college ranks as well. And so I asked him, I said, why didn't you decide to do that? Because you've conquered the football world being at Buford. And he basically said what you just said. He talked about with his wife, because surprisingly, his wife was the one that was urging him to step into the college world. And he explained it to her. He said, listen, I'm going to be gone for most of the year on recruiting visits. And when I am home, I'm going to be studying film all the time and living at the football complex. And so you may see me a few hours each week. And so he presented the question back to her, do you really want me to pursue this? And she said, no, we like to have you around. So I understand exactly where you're coming from, because it's a different world, the college football ranks.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me tell you, my wife, Sherry, she's probably listening right now. And she'll vouch for me on this. You're consumed, and at the level, being at the Division II and 1AA level, you don't have the support. I mean, the manpower like the Power 5 schools do. So, not only am I coaching a position and running the defense, well, I'm also the financial aid liaison, and you wear so many more different hats, and those take up time too.
Right.
So so while we're doing all this, I mean, you still got to win football games, and you got to recruit, you got to do all these things. So we actually you get a lot more like vacation times, because like at this time right now, college coaches are on vacation, and normally the college coaches you get 3 weeks in June. You probably got to be, in the office so many days, and, the coaches kind of rotate around. But, and that, when I was in there and I'd have that 3 weeks vacation, we'd all take a family vacation. And, when we'd come back, I'd wake up every day and, see my wife. And after about a week of being at the house, she'd say, I'm ready for you to go back to work.
Absolutely.
But there's, you get it's kind of, all at one time. And then for the next, 10 months, you see each other kind of in passing.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we're glad to have you at Lowndes. Some of the comments that are coming across while you've been talking was, Will Mupelfrey says, Coach Andrews is the man. Glad we have him in the One Lowndes family. He's a class act. So, Coach, there's a lot of things, a lot of comments like that. Luke Bush says, excited to also watch the defensive side of our Vikings this year. These men are all in, professional coaches all the way. So we are thrilled to have you at the Lowndes football program. So let's transition and talk about Lowndes football for a second. Last year was your first year as defensive coordinator for Lowndes. last year was kind of a quirky year. Now
weird
this year you're basically part of a new coaching staff. And so it's your second year at Lowndes, but last year, Coach, you had a fairly young defense all across the board. And a lot of those players are coming back this year. What can we expect? What are your expectations coming into this upcoming season with another year of experience under their belts?
Well, my expectations are to win every football game.
Okay. I love it.
Think, you talk, as a coach, all coaches are going to think like that. I've always said if I didn't think we can't win, I'm not going to get on the bus.
Sure.
I hadn't missed a game yet. So, we've got a great group of kids coming back. We played a lot of young kids last year, and a lot of those kids, has ups and downs and things like that. The one thing that we lost a lot of defensive linemen. We lost a lot of size, with, guys like, Vernon Wright and Jaden Battle and, those guys. But as far as our back seven, we have several guys that are returning, that have, game experience under the belt, which that always helps. I mean, there's no replacement for game time experience. So, we're going to lean on those guys that have experience coming back. Now, the thing of it is sometimes when you're a sophomore and you have game experience, you're still in the learning phase.
Sure.
Going into your junior year. So, we have, quite a bit of that. So, the guys that are coming back, I'm super excited about. Because they're just going to continue to get that much better because they've been thrown in the fire. They know what to expect. We have some guys that are coming back that were in backup roles last year that they're fixing to get the majority of their game experience this year. So,
right.
As the season goes on, those guys got to mesh together. And, that's what's going to give you your team,
Absolutely. So, Coach, one of our viewers has this question for you. He says, does Coach have any players the fans should be looking out for that aren't well known?
Give some names.
We do. I tell you what, Andreas Contreras was a backup nose guard for us last year.
Yeah.
Played in every single game. He's a big kid. He's probably the biggest guy we have on the defensive line right now. He's probably about 265, playing the nose guard position for us. And, we bumped him out to play some defensive end also because he's super athletic. Really excited about him, and he's a kid that'll get out there and he'll scrap, and he does have game experience. So, him and O'Shea Brooks are probably the two, defensive linemen that are coming back with the most experience. Linebacker wise, all of them got game experience. Austin Wilford and Coleman Lewis and Johnny Bebo, those guys played, the majority of the snaps for us last year. One guy that I'm really excited about, who's had a really good summer so far, is Cameron Rigdon.
Okay.
He played majority JV last year. Man, he's given us a lot of snaps, man. I mean, this summer, we were in our padded OTA, the last two days, and Rigdon came out like, and he was putting his face on folks who were like, where'd this come from? So, that's been great. In the back end, Trey Thomas, that's my guy right now. I think, I got two. Trey Thomas, was a sophomore for us last year. But he's playing, safety for us, free safety and pony. Trey did not get to play last year and was probably one of our more athletic guys. He had a little health issue early in the year and was not able to play. Since being released by the doctors, man, he has just, been going up, up, up. Super intelligent, got a great football IQ, and he has been all over the field. So, that's one name right there. If you want to keep an eye on, you keep an eye on Trey Thomas, and then also a rising sophomore, Tyler Parker. Man, this kid is man. When our rising 10th graders moved up, Tyler played nickel for us last year. Going in, when you're in coaches meetings and things like that, and you're writing names on the board, we actually wrote his name down as a linebacker because he's a big, thick kid. And then we just kind of took a shot and moved him to safety just to kind of see what he could do. And I'm like, that's a done deal. So because he is super athletic, he's extremely long. He can run, and so we put him back there at safety, and he is kind of like the guy that nobody's going to know. And then after a couple of games, when he gets some good experience, and he's going to be a tremendous player at Lowndes High School for the next 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, what's some of your leaders that stand out on defense that's returning?
Absolutely. I mean, Coleman Lewis, there's no doubt. Everybody knows who Coleman is. When you have a guy like Coleman, who's a Division I linebacker who, Coleman got, he played as a ninth grader, when their season was over and moved up, and he started every game for us. I think Coleman is, he's what you want as a coach. I mean, he's great with all the guys. I mean, he's got buddies on offense, buddies on defense. He's great in the locker room. When he gets out on the field, he's the guy, he's the general. And, we lean a lot on Coleman, and, he's the guy that kind of brings everything together for us offensively and in the locker room.
Coach, you got me all excited. So far, I heard several outstanding things. You got me really excited when you said you got a 265-pound kid that's going to be a nose guard that can also go out wide as a defensive end. Very athletic, 265. Those don't come around every day. And then,
no, he is. He's super quick twitched. So we can move him around. And as a coach, you always want guys that are very versatile. And Andreas, man, now we have just started kind of moving him around a little bit, which is awesome. And, and he loves it. Anytime you talk to a guy, that, hey, we're going to look at you right here. Boy, they get all fired up. And so you kind of get to see the best of what they got. Now they're in the learning process, but he's been excited about that. And on the flip side, a guy, we've got a rising junior in Jaden Stallworth, who was a backup last year, at an outside linebacker position. We moved him. He started off at defensive end for us this year. We have since moved him back to a stack linebacker, and he's had a couple of days at practice. But Jaden brings a lot of athleticism to that stack backer position for us.
Gotcha. Guys, if you're just now joining us on the Viking Nation Live, we've got Lowndes Defensive Coordinator Ashley Anders is joining us tonight. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. Listen, you've got everybody all excited with some of the names that you're throwing out there. I want to ask you kind of a different type of question. You've got your defensive pedigree, your philosophy, the team that's coming back has got another years of experience under their belt. You've got a staff that's virtually new, some returning members, but some newer members as well. All of you are kind of gelling at the same time. If you could put one or two words to describe this upcoming defensive team's character, how would you describe them?
Well, I'll tell you this, first of all, I'm going to talk about the guys that we have in the locker room that are on the team right now.
Okay.
And they're super, super high character kids. But I will say this about Lowndes in general. Lowndes has always had super high character kids.
Sure. Absolutely.
And, being, in the, from recruiting Lowndes, from a recruiting standpoint years ago to playing against Lowndes to now to being a part of the Lowndes staff, that has never changed. And, as a coach, you always want to have high character kids.
Yep.
And we have high character kids. And anytime you have high character kids, the sky's the limit because they're going to be coachable. They're going to do the things that you ask them to do. They're going to play hard. All these kids in the locker room love Lowndes, and they know what Lowndes football is to this community.
Yeah.
So when they walk out on the field, or let me back up, when they run out on the field, on Friday night, they're going to play their tails off for Lowndes, Lowndes and the community of Lowndes.
Absolutely. Hey, what's the preparation looking like this summer? You're well into I can't remember, second or third week of summer preparation. You've done some padded camps, but what does a summer preparation schedule look like for Lowndes?
Well, we're going Monday through Thursday. From we feed them breakfast at 7:30 every morning. And if I could just throw this out there, our nutrition program, if you're listening and you want to help, man, the nutrition program that we're doing is a must.
Yeah.
These kids with what we're asking them to do, man, you got to fuel the Lamborghini, man.
Absolutely. Hey, Jody Hewitt, pretty good member of the Viking Touchdown Club. He threw out a number a while ago, and it blew my mind. He said to feed these kids, it's basically $400 a kid. And so, guys, if you want to get involved, this is a fantastic way to do it. Help these kids directly. Help us feed them.
Absolutely. And I can't stress that enough because, the science and the research that's gone into the nutrition as far as athletes are concerned,
Yeah.
in the last, 5 years, it's hard to feed a kid a honey bun that's loaded with sugar, and he eats that, and hey, man, he's got a little bit of energy, but you lift weights and you go through a 2-hour practice, and the kids start falling off. I mean, that's the difference. That's the difference that separates, great programs from average programs is, what are you putting into those kids? And, I'll tell you this, I can't thank the Viking moms enough that have come up and helped cook and things like that. And the people that have donated to the nutrition program, without that right there, man, it is just so hard. And it's so hard on those kids to do what we're asking them to do without the nutrition. So if anybody wants to help, man, we would love your help and your assistance in the nutrition program. So,
well, dang it, Coach, you got me feeling guilty now because just looking at me, you can tell that my diet consists of Mountain Dews and honey buns. And so you got me feeling guilty about that.
Hey, mine has been here for a while, but I just started I started back on the keto on Monday, so I'm getting back down to my fighting weight.
I hear you. You've inspired me, Coach.
But to answer your question, like I say, we go Monday through Thursday. The kids come in, we feed them, and then what we do is we actually separate offense and defense. it flips every other day. One will go in the weight room while the other side meets and does film work and install and things like that. So we have about an hour lift, and then we flip. And then after that, we actually get out on the field and we go through our practice routine for that day.
Gotcha.
And usually the kids are out of there. They're out of there 11:45, 12 o'clock every day. We try to feed them again. Well, we do feed them again before they go home to try to replenish. What they've lost. In the weight room and on the field. And then as far as coaches, we usually come in and we meet and watch that practice film for the day, and then get our preparation done for the next day, and then we turn around and do it again.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, final question for you, and I get the feeling that you this question's coming. And that is, Tim Neesmith, he puts it succinctly. He says his other daughter is out fishing him. But now, before you comment on that, that other daughter appeared on this program a couple of weeks ago, talked about some of the work that she's doing covering high school football in Southwest Georgia. Her name is Mary Alex Anders. And so she made a comment on here earlier tonight. She says, I'm popped on here tonight to say that I'll be in Lowndes tomorrow for flag football. Y'all come out and support. But I suspect that her ulterior motive of tuning in tonight was she knew that her dad was going to be on the phone. And she probably knew that you were going to be asked this very important question. So when she was on this program a couple weeks ago, I don't know how it came up. We started talking about things that we do in the summer. She started talking about fishing and how y'all as a family really like to fish, but she kind of dropped the bomb on us. And she said that she was, I think in her words, a better fisherman than you were, or something to that effect. So can you clear up the controversy in the Anders household?
Well, first of all, I have tried to raise my children to be very confident in everything that they try to do. And I will say this, Mary Alex has always enjoyed fishing, and I've always enjoyed carrying my kids, in fishing. And I will say this, a couple of years ago, she did catch an 8-pounder. There's not a lot of people out there that can say that they've caught an 8-pound bass.
Yeah. So
she did that several years ago, and over the years, she's gone with me. Not as much now as when she was little, but she did. She caught a 12-pound 12-8 bass. I caught my biggest bass is 12-4.
Oh, okay.
And I will say this: I have more experience fishing than she does, but she is very competitive in fishing. So she is a very good fishing partner. I like if I was fishing in a tournament, I would like to have Mary Alex fishing with me.
I got you. Well, Coach, you said that like a true dad that loves his daughter. I mean, you didn't throw her under the bus. You didn't say she misspoke or anything like that. So kudos for you for doing that. But so anyway, I get the feeling that both of you are very, very talented fishers. And I think I've seen some of your pictures on Facebook when you go down to Swanee to do some fishing down there. So
absolutely.
so Coach, I hope you get some fishing in over the summer, but I know you're hard at work preparing our defense for a pretty tough schedule for this upcoming season. So best of luck to you and the guys there. And Coach, thank you so much for calling in tonight and being an integral part of the Viking Nation.
Well, hey, I appreciate you having me, and hey, thank you. And hey, I want to say this. I can't be more excited about the season of Coach Carter coming in and the new staff that we have. If everybody listening has not been able to meet Coach Carter or any of the guys on the staff, man, tremendous people, tremendous coaches. And I think this fall, everybody's going to be very excited of the team that runs out on the field for Lowndes County this year.
Absolutely, Coach. Go get them and go Vikings.
Go Vikings.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Man, that was a fun conversation, Chase.
Man, look, I got all the love in the world for Coach Andrews, man. I have never, not once, seen him anywhere. It didn't matter whether it was at the stadium, Academy Sports, Walmart, didn't matter. That man is always smiling, will always be willing to shake your hand, and loves talking about football.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, I wanted to address something that one of our viewers, Jessica Stevens, she posted this, and it's a valid point. Jessica, I'm right there with you. She said the Viking Nation is amazing. Thank you so much for that compliment. Then she goes on to say, but why can't other sports get some advertising and raise money for the sport? Jessica, I'm right there with you. Now, I want to answer that question in two parts. One is get more support, and maybe I guess I get the sense that you were asking why can't they get more exposure on this show, because we do spend a lot of time talking about football. There's two reasons for that. One is football is probably the biggest sport in this community, not just for Lowndes, but Valdosta State as well. Obvious, that's the obvious answer. And part of that, Chase, is when we have a show and we talk football, we have a big audience. And when we transition and talk about other sports, I've noticed that over the years that audience starts to go down some. So that is completely up to the public to do that. So guys, we're here to support you guys, but we need you to do your part and tune in to support these kids as well. Chase, what are you going to say?
Now, see, I would like to see us in the future during the off season, you know, especially the basketball program, which we've done some basketball bits on it. We've had the head coach of the basketball team on. We've had the head coach of track and field.
Yeah, absolutely.
Baseball, girls softball. I mean, we've had all these coaches on here. We've done segments on them, and we've done spotlights on them. But you know, and I'm a big basketball guy. Larry will tell y'all, I'm a huge basketball guy. But at the same time, like I've told people that's asked that very same question of me, unfortunately, fortunately for Lowndes, football pays the bills.
Yeah.
You know, and this is not a knock at any other sport at all, but where else can you pack in 14,000 people on Friday night?
Yeah. Now, with that said, like you said, we try to provide as much coverage as possible for just a couple of guys as we can to these other sports. So here's what I'm saying. I do this appeal every single year. If you are a sports mom, sports dad, and your kid doesn't play football, but let's say they run track and field, or they play tennis, golf, basketball, baseball, softball, and you want to contribute to the Viking Nation, I ask for your help every single year. Send me content. I'll have you on the show to talk about those particular sports, because I'm one guy, Chase is another guy. We can't be at everywhere all the same time. And football is a little easier to cover football because it's one game once a week, right? Well, unless you go to all the JV games and ninth grade games in middle school and that kind of stuff.
Which I did last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess what I'm saying, Jessica, is listen, we invite people to help us do what we do here. We are a sports fan driven organization and show. And so if you or others would love to help contribute and raise the awareness about some of these other sports, that because Lowndes has a fantastic Lowndes athletic program. We just saw a few weeks ago, Chase, where the Lowndes athletic program won the overall sports program award for Region 17A. So that means across the board, Danny Redshaw, Josh Akers, and the entire athletic staff there, all the coaches, players across the board are doing an outstanding job. We're just having trouble, covering all those types of sports. The other thing is, if you're a parent of a team there at Lowndes and you feel like you're not getting, sometimes we do reach out to these other coaches and they just don't, quite frankly, Chase, sometimes they don't return our call. Because I've reached out, I'm not going to name names, but I've reached out to some coaches for various programs, and they don't reply to emails. They don't reply to phone calls, voicemails, anything like that. I know, I get it. They're busy, But if they do want exposure for their kids, then encourage them to come on to the show. Call in like Coach Andrews did tonight. And the purpose of this organization, the Viking Nation, is to uplift and promote the Lowndes athletic program. And I think we do a pretty dang good job of it. So we're never going to have a coach on here to embarrass them, to ask you gotcha questions or anything like that. We are going to keep it extremely positive like we always do. Now, sometimes we might have to ask a hard question or so if things aren't going very well. But that is more of an exception rather than the rule. Well, our purpose is to promote this program.
Look, I'll lay this challenge out there to the audience, Larry. And because I know that there are some guys that tune into this program that their kids play basketball, their kids play baseball, their kids run, and they don't play football.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll lay a challenge out there.
Yeah.
If you don't want to cover those sports to help me and Larry out, by all means, me and Larry are easily accessible. Send us a message on Facebook. One of us will reach back out to you. It's not complicated, guys. We would love and appreciate the help. I promise you.
Absolutely.
I promise you, by the time, especially during football season, I guarantee you, by the time Saturday gets here, me and Larry are exhausted.
That's right. So anyway, I'm not saying this to guilt anyone, but my point is, if you would like to, for us to cover it, then maybe you might be the key to that, or someone that you know in the wrestling organization, or maybe you got a sports parent that's heavily involved in the basketball team. Tell them to reach out to us, because I quite frankly don't know very much about wrestling. And so sometimes I'll have Coach Graybill on here, or sometimes I'll have Mike D, or some of the wrestlers. We've had some of the wrestlers on here talking about their outstanding season. But I get your point, and I do take it to heart. We try our best to provide as much coverage as we can. So anyway, let's transition into something that I want to talk about. Well, first of all, congratulations to Daniel Jones and Grant Lasky. Both of these fine student athletes have verbally committed to their school of choice. Now, it could change. Let's be honest about it. It could change. But for now, they've both verbally committed. Daniel Jones has committed to Coastal Carolina, and Grant Lasky has verbally committed to UNC Charlotte. And so thank you so much, and congratulations to both of these athletes. So let's talk about, how, Chase, I mean, sometimes this is one of these segments where it's just a way too early segment, right? But I do. If you've been watching this show for any length of time, you know that I do like to look ahead.
Yeah.
And this is one of those what ifs where, okay, if we look ahead, because next year, 2024, the landscape for football in general is going to have an earthquake seismic event across the board, whether it's high school or college, because college football next year is going to start the 12-game playoff, right? And if you're an SEC fan, they're doing away with divisions and conferences. And so, divisions. So you're not going to have an East versus West anymore. You're going to have every team in the SEC playing an 8-game schedule, and the top 2 go to the SEC championship. So, guys, if you're a Georgia fan starting in 2024, Chase, I know this year's schedule looks a little easy. Starting next year, Georgia is going to be playing Clemson, Texas, and Alabama on the road. How about that kind of schedule?
This year, and I ain't trying.
Don't get me started. This year, we should run the table. But Chase, here's as real as I get. When you're as good as Georgia, they all look easy.
Man, come on. I think you mispronounced good. I think you mispronounced that, and that should have been well paid.
Just having a little fun, man. Just having a little fun. So as part of my what if, look aheads, everybody knows starting next year in 2024, Georgia high school football is also going to undergo a seismic shift, and we're going to do away with the Class 7A, and we're going to go back to 6 classes. And so that means that we're going to see some changes in the region. And so I thought we would go through some of those potential changes. And I got this from a pretty good source. It was an existing coach at the highest levels in Georgia high school football, he sent me a list of potential regions. Now, a lot of this can change because this is based on this year's numbers, and we don't know what the new student population numbers are going to look like come October later this year when all this starts to be put together. So based on that, here's some potential regions that could happen in 7 or the new 6A, which is going to be the new highest classification in the state of Georgia. So I left region 1 blank for a reason, and we'll get to region 1. So starting with region 2. Now, some of you already recognize some of these names, but I'll quickly go through them because a lot of them, a lot of you have no idea who they are. So the new region 2 6A could be Alexander Carrollton, Douglas County, East Coweta, East Paulding, Noonan, Paulding County, South Paulding, and Westlake. Now, the asterisk next to the teams, Chase, are that means that this year in 2023, they're currently in 6A. They're not in the highest classification. So they're going to be going up and joining the highest classification. Okay. So that's a significant number of teams that's going to be stepping up to the highest classification.
Yeah. That's a lot of teams in one region.
And all the regions are that way. Look at as we and they did this on purpose to cut because the main reason they did this to eliminate the top classification was to put more teams in the same region to cut down on travel cost for all the teams. And that makes sense, right? But there's some ramifications with that, right? So only the top 4 teams in a region can make the playoffs. So there's a lot of teams that's going to be sitting home, right? Because you got 9 teams in the region. Only the top 4 can make the playoffs. So region 3 is going to probably look like Campbell, Harrison, Hillgrove, Kennesaw Mountain, McEacher, North Paulding, Osborne, Pebble Creek, and South Cobb. Region 4, Cherokee, Etowah, Lassiter, Marietta, North Cobb, Rome, Sequoia, Walton, Wheeler, and Woodstock. If you're just joining us, we're talking about potential regions starting in 2024 when they eliminate the highest classification. Now, just keep in mind, this is just a potential of what the regions may look like. So a lot can change between now and next season. So here are if we had the regions, Chase, that look like this, I've highlighted in yellow who I think the top 4 are going to be in each region. So you've got some power players there: Carrollton, East Coweta, Noonan, Westlake. That makes sense. Harrison, Hillgrove, McEacher, North Paulding. Some of these are obvious. Marietta, North Cobb. Now, Rome is going to be an interesting team because they're currently not in the highest classification. If they step up, I'm still expecting them to be one of the top 4 teams. And then Walton is the final top 4 team there. Region 5 is going to look like this, probably. Alpharetta. This is a big region. I'm talking about 11 teams. Now, the last team down there at the bottom, Innovation Academy, they don't have a football program. So they're not going to be included in the football schedule, obviously. But you're still going to have 10 teams in that region. That means, Chase, you're only going to have 1 non-region game. That's amazing to me. So if you're a coach, scheduling is very, very easy for you because you got 9 region opponents and 1 non-region game. Region 6, you see the teams there. Some of the noteworthy teams: Rockdale County, St. Pius, Woodward County is always a big dog. They're going to be stepping up. Region 7 looks like Archer, Berkmar, Brookwood, Discovery, Duluth, Grayson, Peachtree Ridge, South Gwinnett. And then Region 8. Look at this Region 8. It's going to have Buford, Gainesville, Mill Creek, and North Gwinnett all in the same region. That's going to be a tough region as well.
That's, man, golly. You got 2 powerhouses in that region in Collins Hill, Buford, not to mention, man, golly, I wouldn't, nope. I wouldn't want to be a coach in that region.
Absolutely. Candace Marie says, I'm assuming she's talking about me. She says he loves getting info. Oh, I see what she's saying. Yeah, I do love getting information on the different programs there at Lowndes. And she makes a good point. Just make sure I get it in plenty of time because I do have a full-time job. You have a full-time job, Chase. And so make sure we get the information in plenty of time. Don't send it to me 11:30 at night of something that's going to happen tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. It's probably not going to get posted in time. Okay, so I think that's what Candace is talking about there. So Jessica Stevens says, I will definitely do it. Fantastic. Well, welcome aboard the Viking Nation train, Jessica Stevens. Thank you so much for helping us out there. Well, Candace got some she got some kind words. She says, also keep in mind that Larry does this on his free time and he's not employed by the school to do this. That's absolutely correct.
But now if the school wanted to throw some funding our way, we wouldn't turn it down.
Listen, let me tell you a little bit about it at school. So last year I helped the football program put on the online streaming for the Wintersville Classic last year.
Yep.
And so I'm going to throw out a number, Chase, and this may surprise you, but you know how much. So after all the tickets were sold and people were at the stadium is packed, no more tickets are available. Do you know how much we netted after all the expenses were paid for the online stuff that we were offering that night?
It probably wasn't much.
Over $13,000.
Oh, wow.
Does that surprise you?
Yeah.
That is the power of that is the power of the Lowndes brand. I keep telling people that we need to stream more of our games, not less. And we're talking about fundraising, $400 to feed a kid, that kind of stuff. $13,000 goes a long way.
It does.
And so, I'm not saying that we can make that for every single game, but the high profile games, if it's at Martin Stadium, definitely the Wintersville Classic, we should be streaming the Colquitt County game. We should be streaming other high profile teams like Grayson when they come to Lowndes. You talking about that would get a nationwide audience. I would project if we had a big team like a Buford or a Grayson or a Miami Central come into Martin Stadium, I bet you we could net 15,000 plus.
Oh, absolutely.
Just streaming that game.
Without
so
doubt.
Anyway.
Plus, I mean, that's the power of the LG.
Absolutely. And just to Candace's point, I'm not employed, so I didn't charge the school system a dime to do that. And so Scott Willis and I did the play-by-play and the color commentary during the game. And we just, there was a lot of that. We had an entire team involved to put that production on. But that's the kind of stuff that online streaming can do. So let me get off my soapbox there.
Yeah.
When it comes to streaming. Okay. So these are the, still a lot of teams that are moving up to that highest classification. Now, here's my crazy hat segment sponsored by the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta. So if you got need for their services, call Josh Batson or Justin Haskett and schedule an appointment. So, Chase, I like to do this crazy hat segment of mine. Let me go ahead and put on my crazy hat. It's coming. It's coming, Chase. But I snapped this picture last year during the Grayson game at Martin Stadium. And these two guys, I have no idea who they are because it was over a year ago. I have no idea who they are. But they showed up in these funny looking hats, a crimson and I think that's a silver hat. And so I said, guys, do you mind if I just take your picture? Because I think y'all look great. They had matching shirts. And so probably the best of friends going to a fantastic high school football game. So I took their picture and whoever you guys are, thank you so much for making the crazy hat segment on the Viking Nation Live.
They're part of the crew that holds the tear apart banner and does the fire extinguisher, smoke.
Oh, okay. Well, guys, if you know their names, post them in the comments because I would love to give a shout out to these guys. I thought they looked great that night for the game.
Yeah, great guys too. If y'all ever meet them, go up and talk to them. They love to talk about Lowndes football.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Region 1 in the remaining time that we have. Okay. Now, Chase, this may surprise you. So when I started looking at Region 1, and over the years, it was Region 1, 5A and 6A and now 7A. But I was kind of surprised how much the Region 1 has changed over the years. Do you know how many times it's changed over the last 20 years or so?
I know.
Well, I'm going to give you a hint. How many boxes are on the screen?
But
10 boxes. Yeah. So I'm going to go back. Yeah. So I'm going to go back to all the way to 2002, 2003. We'll do this very, very quickly. So guys, look, in 02 and 03, this is what your region looked like. I was kind of surprised. I had to go back in the memory banks. It's like, yeah, it did happen. Coffee, Colquitt, Lee. Can you imagine Coffee and Lee were in the same region as we were there? It took me a while to remember those teams. Coffee, Colquitt, Lee, Lowndes, Tift, and Valdosta. So here's the next iteration. In the 04-05 time period, it changed slightly. It was Coffee, Colquitt, Houston, Lowndes, Tift, and Valdosta. So again, 6 teams. And that was just 04-05. So in a 4-year period, we had 2 iterations of Region 1. So the fun doesn't stop there. Now, this is what it looked like in 06 and 07. Coffee, Colquitt, Houston, Lowndes, Tift, Valdosta, and Warner Robins. Warner Robins was a bigger school back then than Northside Warner Robins was. And then 08 and 09. And by the way, guys, if you'll remember 04 and 05, given the region, Coffee, Colquitt, Houston, Lowndes, Tift, and Valdosta, remember 04 and 05, back-to-back state championship years. Then we fast forward 07 when it was Coffee, Colquitt, Houston, Lowndes, Tift, Valdosta, Warner Robins. That was another state championship year for us. Then, Chase, I think 08 and 09, we probably should have had another 2 state championships.
Oh, absolutely.
So we had Coffee. Now, this was a big region, 8-team region. Coffee, Colquitt, Houston, Lowndes, Northside, Tift, Valdosta, and Warner Robins. To me, that was a super region. That was a fantastic region, those 2 years.
Doing that region, boy.
Yeah, some good football. A lot of good teams stayed home during the playoffs. Okay, so then beginning in 2010, this is when the region started contracting. We started losing a lot of teams. So then it went to Coffee, Colquitt, Lowndes, Tift, and Valdosta. Let me go ahead and quickly through this. It took me a while to remember, but Brunswick was once in our region. 2012 and 2013, Brunswick, Camden, Coffee, Colquitt, Tift, and Valdosta. Then 2014 through 2019 was probably the longest run that we had of consistency here. We had Camden, Colquitt, Lee, Tift, and Valdosta. Coach Trainer says, used to be the #1 region in the country. I absolutely agree. Now, I got a question for you, Trainer. Do you think, by saying that used to be, are you saying that you don't think it's any longer the #1 region in the country? Just interested to see. I'm going to throw that out there to all of you guys. Interested to see. Do you think the current Region 1 7A is the toughest region in the country? And I know that you don't know of all the regions out there, but off the top of your head, what do you think? You think it's the toughest region in the country? Wilbur Pelfrey says, he says, yes, I believe we left. No, he's answering another question. Yes, I believe we left at least 4 state championship games on the table. I do too. Too. Okay, so let's go to the 20 to 21 time frame. We had, now this is when the region gets very, very contracted. We had Camden, Colquitt, Lowndes, and Tift, where that means we only had 3 region games. And so if you were just a member of the region for these 2 years, you automatically were in the playoffs unless you got suspended by the GHSA or something. Now, 22-23, this is the current cycle that we're in. Camden, Colquitt, Lowndes, Valdosta, and Richmond Hill is newer to our region. So, Chase, what do you think the 2024 version of this region is going to look like? Do all these teams survive? Do we add teams or do we subtract teams? What do you think?
We're going to add a lot of teams. I don't exactly know how many, but I got a feeling Tifton's going to jump back up. Maybe a Houston or Warner Robins. I would like to see Lee jump in there, but I know they're not.
Yeah, Lee's not going to make it.
Just based off sheer numbers. Outside of that, man, I really can't think of anybody with enough numbers this far south to jump into a large classification.
That's right. So let me give you, before I throw this projection up here, let me give a caveat to this. there are a couple of things that may happen that may change this outlook. That is, the student numbers, the student population in Houston County may change next year. Here's what I mean. They're not going to lose students or whatever. But I'm hearing some rumors that the Houston County Board of Education may redraw the district lines for all the different high schools, because they've got like five high schools in Houston County. And so the biggest one now is, I think it's Northside, Warner Robins, or it could be Veterans, one or the other. But I've been told that they're discussing redrawing the high school district lines up there to get them closer in student population, with the goal of trying to keep all their teams into one region, one football region. Because if the goal is to, lower travel costs, shoot, you got 5 teams in the county right there. So that could be a region by themselves, or if you add Jones County or whatever. So the point is, if they do this, then this could change the outlook of teams popping into our region, because they could shift some of those programs like Houston and Northside down to a lower classification, right? So keep that in mind. The other thing is, we don't know if it's going to survive, is the 3-point multiplier that the GHSA puts on teams. Guys, if you don't know what that is for the programs out there that have a lot of out-of-district kids. They count those, the GHSA counts those, every out-of-district kid, they count them as 3 kids for the purpose of classifying the programs in athletics. Okay. So that's how TCC went from a 4A program to a 6A program overnight, because they had a lot of out of district kids. They added the 3-point multiplier, and that shot them up to 6A. Now, we don't know if that 3-point multiplier is going to survive, Chase. So I'm assuming that it will, but it may not. So that could change the outlook as well. So with that said, here's what I think the new region is going to look like. I don't think, given what we know of all the other programs, you saw how many regions were in the metro Atlanta area and how many teams were in each region. They were 9 to 11 teams in just about every region, right? So that tells me the GHSA has this goal of keeping 8 regions throughout the state in every classification. So that means that there's going to be a region 1 classification down here, or region 1 area down here. So that means if they've got all these teams in the metro area, they can't create another region on the coast, because that would give them 9 regions. So that's why I think that some of the coastal teams are going to stay or make it into our region. Teams like Camden, I think, is going to stay in our region. Other teams like Brunswick and Glenn County, Effingham County may make it into our region. We just don't know yet. Okay, because I don't think they're going to create another region over there in the highest classification. So with that said, I think the new region, if all the numbers remain the same like they're projected to be, again, a lot of things could change, but it could look like this: Camden, Colquitt, Houston, Lowndes, Northside, Richmond Hill, Tift County, and Valdosta. That is a pretty good size region. You're talking 7 region games. 7 region games. Yeah. So that means some years we're going to have, Chase, that means some years we're going to have at least 3 away games, because you get an odd number of region games there. Then the next year, that means you're going to have automatically 4 away games. So what does that do for your 3 non-regions games that Lowndes is going to schedule? So my mind is, Lowndes has always tried to maximize our home games. So that tells me that when we go to schedule non-region games, they're going to load them up at home, make them home games. Yeah. That's what I'm projecting they'll do. Yeah. Because you automatically have at least 3, sometimes 4 away games. Lowndes is not going to give up that revenue. That's just the way historically we've been as a program. Mm-hmm. So I think that will continue.
Lowndes continue to schedule some of these high-profile opponents for their non-region games.
That's right. So it's going to be interesting to see how this changes going forward. Okay. So again, Northside could be pulled out. Houston County could be pulled out, depending on what their school board does with their district lines up there. The 3-point multiplier may make this shift. Again, we could see teams like Effingham, Brunswick, Glenn County, if they keep growing on the coast, they may join this region. So we have no idea. how this is going to shake out. But for right now, this is what I think the new Region 1 6A will look like. So anyway, what else are we going to talk about during the off season?
All right, man. We throw a bunch of hypothetical situations out there, but other than that,
That's right. So we talked about a lot tonight. That's for sure.
Yeah. You know, I had a conversation with a parent last week, I think it was, and he's a player on my AAU team. And I'm not going to say which school he's from. He's not from Lowndes.
Yeah.
Great kid, great young man. But his mom is convinced that the only way her son can get noticed in basketball is through school ball. And y'all got to remember, there's only a certain number of slots on a school basketball team.
Right.
And let's say your kid is good, but let's say he doesn't necessarily have the grades to play school ball at that point. Mm-hmm. But you need him playing somewhere. You need to get him in an AAU program. It keeps him out of trouble. It lets him play ball. And we will put him in front of college coaches a lot quicker, believe it or not, a lot quicker than a high school program will. Most time high school programs don't get seen until they get to playoffs.
Right.
Especially in basketball. Football, it's a little different. Football's got recruiters at just about every game. Basketball teams don't have the same manpower that, even at your highest classification, even your North Carolinas and your Dukes, they don't have the same manpower that the football team has.
That's right.
They can't send recruiters all over the world. They'll watch highlights. They'll go to live periods in AAU. But this mom is convinced that her son doesn't need to play AAU, but he loves playing AAU. But he plays for the school as well.
Yep. Great
young man, could potentially turn out to be a great player. But like we tried to tell her, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Get him as much exposure as you can. As a parent, I had this conversation. Believe it or not, I had this conversation with James Carter in discussion with Tori, with how they did with Tori, sending him to as many camps and getting him as much exposure as possible. That's the name of the game now. It's all about exposure for these young men, and that's what we're striving for with this AAU program. That's what every AAU program in South Georgia is striving for really right now. Georgia Soul, Rising Stars, South Georgia Shooters.
Yep.
All those AAU programs, that's what we're striving for, is to get these kids in front of college coaches, whether it be JUCO, the Division II, Division III. I'll give you a prime example. We've got a tournament coming up in July. I think it's July 7th through the 9th. It's going to be in Orlando, Florida. All right. Right now, as it stands, there are almost 150 teams coming to this tournament across all various age groups. 150 teams from all across the country, as far as California, Texas, Mississippi, New York. These teams are coming in from everywhere. There are going to be over 100 college coaches in attendance for that program, watching these kids, ranging anywhere from sixth grade all the way up through varsity level.
That's right.
Now, Larry, I've been to a lot of high school basketball games over the years. I ain't never seen 75 or 100 coaches sitting in the stands anywhere on any given night.
Nice.
So, guys, parents, if you got a basketball player that's trying to play year round, that doesn't necessarily play football or any other sport, get them in AAU. Reach out to myself. There's a lot of other programs out here. If you got a particular program, just don't know how to get a hold of that program, reach out to me. I'll put you in connection with them. I know just about all of them.
Yep.
So keep your kids active. Right now, if you watch, our youth are they're all over the place nowadays.
Absolutely.
Keep your kids active in school. Keep your kids active in athletics. And when they don't have athletics, get them involved in something, whether it be band or badminton, pickleball. I don't care. Get them involved.
That's right. Keep them active. Keep them active. Keep them off the sugar and keep them active outside. Chase, with that, we're gonna put a wrap on tonight, man. So listen, tonight is June 15th. We're just a couple days away, about 4 days away. Do you know how many days or how close we are to kickoff? We kick off on August 19th. We're about 2 months away. Let me say that again. We're about 2 months away from kickoff. So guys, as we sign off the show tonight, I'm going to get you fired up. Here we go. So on behalf of Chase Garnto, I'm Larry Godwin. You've been watching another edition of the Viking Nation Live. As always, God bless and go Vikings. Check this out.